in the matters 24 TR 112, 25 CM 30, 25 CM 125, County of Burnett, State of Wisconsin versus Victoria Mott. The state appears through District Attorney Kevin Schmidt in person. Ms. Mott appears in person with counsel Joel Feliski. We're set today in this matter for the sentencing part of this case. We did have Ms. Mott here on August 14th, in which she pled guilty to violating a harassment injunction times 3.
Right from the start, you can tell this isn't a normal sentencing. The judge's tone, the attorney's ready with thick files. This case is history. And once that first victim starts speaking, you immediately feel the weight of what this family has been living through.
Or your initials, whatever you prefer.
Your Honor, thank you for allowing me to speak today.
And I'm hearing already that it sounds emotional, or like it has emotion. And so I'm going to just let you know, if you need time to stop, I'd rather you stop, take a breath, take as long as you need to compose yourself, because again, it gets difficult for my court reporter to understand.
I'm requesting that Victoria Mott gets full punishment for all violations she incurred. It's been proven that Victoria cannot accept any implications, as she has not seen the consequences in her actions. She repeatedly violates the restraining order against her, and yet nothing has deterred her from the fear or constant harassment she has put on this family. While we have been on this constant merry-go-round for the last several years with Victoria, we are hopeful that today, sentencing, that Victoria will finally see the hurt she has caused our family, my husband, and myself, along with our entire family, had to deal with her showing up randomly whenever she feels like damaging property, also almost running over my husband on the property, driving over our septic system, doing donuts in our yard, the constant fear of vandalism, physical violence that she had incurred on me. This is all we've endured is not easy to be explainable. Our family should feel safe in our home. It should not feel that our property can be damaged at any time of the day. Your Honor, we ask for peace. We would like to also request an extension on our restraining order for the maximum allowed or per your discretion. We truly hope that Victoria has time to reflect on what she has damaged, what she has done. We have both, me and my husband, have traveled many times back and forth from here to other properties that we had, leaving work, spending several days at the property on numerous occasions, because we did not feel that it would be safe if we were not there, even with the security cameras that we put up. The defendant has proven her inability to acknowledge or to stop showing up. She continues to be there, even after, like right after we were in court. So I urge you to honestly sentence her to maximum penalty. No one should have to do this. No one should have to live like this. not for just my sake, my husband's sake, my grandkids, and even my kids that are underage. We can't enjoy the property or properties around the area because of this. How would you like it if you're laying on your couch sleeping in the middle of the night and she drives around your property recklessly, screaming profanity outside the window? This is not one time. This is several times. She has not stopped. And I don't think she will until you honestly make her pay for what she's done. So I thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
That was hard to listen to. What stands out is a fear, not just anger or frustration, but genuine, ongoing fear inside their own home. You can hear her voice shaking when she talks about waking up to someone circling the property at night. This isn't a one-time breakdown. This is years of unpredictability and harassment.
Ms. Haskins, I do have to address one thing. You did ask for an extension of your restraining orders. This is not the proper venue to ask for that. And plus, they are through 2027, so there's plenty of time to look and assess before you were to.
And notice how the judge immediately clarifies the limits of her power. People forget. Criminal court can sentence someone, but it can't adjust civil restraining orders. That's how tangled the situation is. Overlapping courts, overlapping relationships, and a defendant who simply will not stop returning.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Haskins?
My name is Jason Haskins, and I am Miss Christy Haskins' husband. A lot of the stuff overlaps. Do you want me to go through it all again?
You may. This is your time to let me know what you want me to know.
So basically, starting on July 14th, 23, there was traumatic episodes with Miss Mott, and basically on our property, continually telling me how she's an independent woman, she doesn't need help. Very violent, always violent towards my wife more so than I. Spent the money on an ADT system with 5 cameras. The cameras seemed to always be in the position that didn't catch her, meaning she would go in the bottom door or the back door, slide in a bedroom window, however it may be. And I witnessed this once. I was in the bedroom where she thought my son would be because I had back surgery. So I was laying on his bed and I could hear a knock at the window. And my 16-year-old son had just gotten a newer used vehicle, which she did not recognize. So she's screaming through the window, "Who's in there? Who's in there?" And my son and I both woke up like, what just happened? Went outside. That is when she was driving erratically up and down the driveway at a high rate of speed. Stopped just 2 feet short of hitting me because I was not very bright. I stood right in the driveway with my hands on my hips, like, what are you doing? Didn't even let up till 2 feet and then finally stopped. Eyes were wide open. So whatever that indicates, I don't know, but wide open. So that was that instance. Basically, I agree with my wife. I don't feel safe going up there. She has many friends that have come on our property. Matter of fact, I confronted one of them, which JJ Lehman is the gentleman's name, and asked him why he was there. And he explained he was there for Tori. And I said, I don't want you on my property. I think right now you're trespassing. Let's call Burnett County and get them coming. Well. So we got in the argument, and his girlfriend thankfully convinced him to leave. So we didn't have an altercation, but again, another fine instance of something that we're, I don't know, I own a property and I can't even use my property. My son lives on the property, and whether She shows up whenever, however, it should not happen. We have the restraining order. And I swear to God, it's almost like it's a challenge. She comes there more now. So, and currently now, her stuff's stored at the house, her dog's at the house, and her kids come and stay at the house. Now, I don't understand why. And due to the previous altercation she had with my son, I don't know why you would keep showing up there with all of your stuff. But anyway, that's where we're at with that. I probably, Your Honor, went up there from Hudson, Wisconsin, no less than 2 days a week for almost a year, just to deter this. Didn't stop her. As a matter of fact, she bragged to me that she was at the house when I was sleeping there at the house because I was downstairs. So I don't know what it's going to take, whether it's, jail time, whether it's taking care of the damages she's done, however it may be, it needs to happen. Previously in her life, she's gotten out of pretty much everything with a slap on the hand and just don't do it, just don't do it. And I don't think she's learned anything. So it basically just comes down to that. And before all this started, I tried to talk to her and help her through things. And then after I'm a strong, independent woman and I don't need help. Okay, well, you're not getting my help. So, and I guess the only thing I would like to say in reference to Tori, and hopefully she's paying attention, is spend more time taking care of your children, having a consistent job, not drinking, not doing other things, and you would be a much better person. And I think that's where we're at with all this. I don't know what else to say or do that would sway you any other way. As far as what she could do to get better, to get back on track. So
the husband's statement changes the picture even more. He describes this bizarre cycle where she avoids cameras, sneaks in, drives at him, and brings friends onto the property. The part that hit me the most was him traveling hours every week just to protect his home. That's not normal. That's a family living in survival mode.
Ways, because I think there's some important historical context for the court to understand why we are where we are now, as well as to give some context to the letter that Mott wrote to the court earlier, which I imagine was pretty confusing for the court if it didn't know the history.
It's not. For the record, I'm very familiar. This goes way back to, I believe, 2022 with Jordan Haskins and criminal charges. And then there was an injunction. And then quite honestly, I have had cases involving the Haskins in Washburn County. I've had cases involving Ms. Mott and the Haskins in Burnett County. I'm well aware, and I was just going to say, when you're done, I'm taking judicial notice of the 22 CF46 case with Jordan Haskins, as well as the other matters involving Mr. and Mrs. Haskins and Ms. Mott. But please, for the record, argue all that you're intending on arguing. I just wanted everybody to be aware. I have a really good memory and I recall the facts.
Sure. I'm actually starting in 2016.
2016.
2016.
Could go back to there, but I don't recall off the top of my head what happened in 2016.
You won't, because there's no case associated with it.
Then I wouldn't be aware of that.
No, I'm going to be talking about law enforcement things too you wouldn't be aware of. In 2016 is when Jordan Haskins, with his then significant other, Courtney Strunk at the time, purchased the property we're talking about here. They lived together until in 2021, the property was quitclaimed entirely to Jordan. They eventually split up. 2021 is also the first time we had a domestic case with Miss Mott and Mr. Haskins. It was a domestic DC and battery. Because of his limited history, it resolved as just an ordinance in this court. Another incident happened that was more serious in 2022. Victoria was still residing with Mr. Haskins. Without bothering to go into the facts, because I don't think that's necessary, it eventually resolved with Mr. Haskins entering a plea to a domestic battery and a strangulation. He went on a deferred agreement with the strangulation. He went on probation for the battery. The strangulation DJOC actually ends in like a little under a month. The term of probation already ended because it was probation on one misdemeanor. During the course of the case, as many domestic abuse victims try to do, Victoria Mott tried to recant her statement. Because we had body cam already back then, we pursued it anyways because her statement on the body cam at the time of the incident was so compelling and Mr. Haskins was so incriminating. During the course, they both did the CRA class to start contact before the case even concluded. When he was placed on probation, DOC, regardless of what the court orders for contact or no contact, can always do their own thing, what they think is safe. And when they have a domestic battery probation with a person also entered a plea to strangulation, they chose to do just no contact at the start until, hey, lay off the training wheels later. During the course of that probation, Jordan did continue to have contact with Victoria and he served some jail time for it during the course of that. About a year and a half into that, Jordan transferred the property to his parents on a quitclaim saying no consideration. 2 days later, all three of them, his parents and Jordan, filed for restraining orders. Jordan would abandon his restraining order while Christy and Jason would get their restraining orders. That's the restraining order we're saying is violated here. This restraining order is a little unique in that it doesn't just prohibit contact at residences. It names specific addresses regardless of whether they're your residence or not. And this is one of those addresses. Regardless, Jordan Haskins has continued to have a relationship with Victoria Mott, as evidenced by there have been many other of these reports, these referrals of these violation restraining order that we never charged because they were essentially Jordan admitting that she was there on his behest or Jordan asking, is there anything I can do to end my parents' restraining order? He's continued to live at the same property continuously, even after he gave it to his parents. He seems to have continuously lived there for almost 10 years now. Part of what I think the victims have alluded to, Mott avoiding camera footage so successfully. That's how. He obviously knows where all the cameras are. He can aid her in avoiding those. Regardless, when we got the first spat of those referrals for that kind of restraining order, they weren't as severe. We actually met my office with Victoria Mott back then in terms of her being the victim of the past domestic abuse case and explained to her, Christy and Jason Haskins have nothing to do with your domestic abuse case. This restraining order through the full faith and credit clause, if you violate it by going to this property, because it says go to the property, even if you have Jordan's permission, is a violation, and warned her if she continued to do it, we would be filing cases. She continued to do it. We filed these cases. The behavior got more and more specific and targeted towards the victims, Christy and Jason Haskins. There's really no reason for it at all for her to be doing that, especially when she's continued to have this on again, off again relationship with Jordan throughout the whole time. That is why in this case, Victoria Mott has no criminal history. So normally you'd look at this and say 3 convictions and a recommendation for 30 days jail right off the bat with probation. Is that too severe? No. I think you've heard the impact on the victims back there, how much it's distressed them, how much unpredictability it puts into their enjoyment of their property. And
the prosecutor basically says what everyone is thinking. This isn't just trespassing or harassment. This is an emotional and psychological tornado fueled by a toxic relationship. And the wildest part? Even when caught repeatedly, she keeps going back, and he keeps letting her. It's chaos feeding chaos.
Entering in this plea today, Ms. Mott is paying a price for her actions. She is accepting responsibility for them and is suffering the consequences. I agree with the state in that for someone who has essentially no prior criminal history, that in full honesty, looking strictly from the outside, a year of probation and a 30-day jail sentence may seem severe. I do want to clarify on the record that we are requesting eligibility for ankle monitoring. I understand that Ms. Mott has the funds available for that program. Just wanted to clarify that on the record. But I think that this is an appropriate.
Attorney admits jail might be the only deterrent. And when the defendant has self-asked for 30 days in jail, that tells you something is seriously broken in her situation.
Very lengthy. There is no doubt in my mind that you have been a victim. You are a victim. There was domestic violence. There could still be between you and Jordan Haskins. The court was well aware of that back in the 22 SC case, and then having the 22 CF criminal matter with Mr. Haskins. You have been a victim of domestic violence. But in reading your statement, and I'm not going to read it out loud because again, it is very lengthy, but in reading your statement, you feel like you're the only victim. Like it's that you have been the one who is seen, who has been unjust, that the system has been actually harming you and not protecting you. You at no time acknowledge and admit your actions and what you have done.
Towards the end of the letter, I did, and I apologized.
Yes, you
And-
apologized, but that's just like a child that gets into trouble, that has a tantrum, that does bad things, that the parent then goes and reprimands, and then the child continues to say, but it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's somebody else's fault, it's everybody else's fault. Oh, but I'm sorry. Get me out of trouble. Don't punish me so bad. It's not a true apology. It's not a true apology. If you truly felt that you have wronged the Haskins, if you truly took accountability and responsibility for your actions, it wouldn't be 3-4 years later that we're still dealing with the same conduct. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Your relationship with Jordan is toxic. It's toxic. And I don't know if it's Jordan. I don't know if it's you. I don't know if it's the both of you. It is toxic. And you say in your letter, I'm very well versed in domestic violence. I represented domestic violence victims for many, many years free of charge. You make a statement that the system should know that victims go back to their abuser. They continue to go back to their abuser. That is very true. It takes approximately 8 to 10 times for a victim to leave their abuser before they have enough strength to continue and to move forward. I get that. But there is also this cycle of joint abuse, joint domestic abuse involving both the male and the female, or whatever the significant others are. The fact that you say that in your statement, that the system should know the victims always go back. And I went back and I'm continuing to go back and I see that he can change and I want to be there to help him change. It sounds like you're playing the system. You know domestic violence, you know the facts. You've went through the CRA class, the Community Referral Agency class. You're spewing the things that...
This judge does not hold back. She acknowledges the abuse Victoria suffered, but she also calls out the truth. Being a victim doesn't give you a free pass to terrorize other families. Her analogy of a child blaming everyone else is brutal but accurate. This is the first moment in the entire case where someone finally says, enough, you need accountability.